Hello and welcome back to another episode of Prehistoric Speculation, where today we are going to be looking at 5 things we need to know about Jurassic World Evolution 2. These are just things that I think we need to know before the game comes out. They're big things that we're wondering about for the game. A few of these topics I'll have videos coming, I'll be making videos about later in the week, or coming weeks anyway. Some of them videos have already been made about these topics by other YouTubers. I just wanted to make a video covering all of them in one video, just to get the top questions, to get people talking about them and theorizing them on Reddit or whatever, stuff like that. So, moving on to number 1, we have, how will the aquatic enclosures work? We know how the land enclosures work. We know how you place fences, you place feeders, you place water, they eat and all that stuff. We know how the Pteranodon exhibits work, where you connect aviaries and you sort of make it like a grid system almost to expand them. And you place feeders in there and all that sort of stuff, and they work relatively similar to the land creatures, where they can land on the floor. You can place foliage in their exhibit and all of that sort of stuff. They'll fly about for a bit. They need space requirements, I imagine. We found out quite a lot about this from the Game Informer article from the interviewer that played the game a while ago. We also know about it a bit from Frontier's own information. However, we have no information at all about how aquatic enclosures will work. No game reviewer has seen them in game. We haven't heard anything about them from from Frontier, other than seeing the Mosasaurus at the end of the trailer and it having confirmed that there'll be multiple aquatic creatures in the game from launch. Other than that, we have no real information about it. So, there's either actually, no. I'll go into detail on how they work in a later video, because that would be quite a long tangent, I feel. So yeah, look out for that later in the week. Moving on from this, the second question I think we should ask is, how many new species will there be? We know from the game's launch there'll be 75 species, including aquatic and flying, so we can assume that brings the total land species down to about 65. Then, if we assume that there'll be a deluxe edition DLC, if you pre-order the game or buy the deluxe edition of the game, which will say add, optimistically, 7 more dinosaurs. Maybe 2 of them are aquatic and flying, maybe 5 land creatures. That brings up the total count to 70. Taking out what will be in, we don't know how many of those 70 creatures will be from the original game. The original game only has 68 creatures, and we've seen 2 new creatures already in the Coelophysis, which I've done a review of the species profile that was released later this week, and the Amargasaurus. They're the only 2 we know of so far. We know there are some returning creatures from the first game, as we've seen T-Rex, Triceratops, that sort of stuff. We also know about Acrocanthosaurus and Baryonyx. So, what we want to know is the balance in between those. How many returning creatures will there be in comparison to how many new creatures will there be? My own personal estimation, I would say there would be roughly 30 new creatures, I think. Maybe 40 returning from the first game, maybe 30 new ones sort of thing. I think that'll be the balance, because there's quite a few dinosaurs from the first game I don't think would be missed too sorely if they were cut out, such as Polacanthus, those sort of dinosaurs, just copy and pastes of others pretty much. Hopefully this game doesn't have the same issues as that, really. But yeah. So that's one of the major things we want to see Frontier talking about. The new dinosaurs, obviously, was what everyone's most excited about, myself included. So anyway, moving on from that, we have, will there be feathered dinosaurs in the game? This is a big question that we've been debating about since the game came out. We have not yet seen any feathered creatures in any Jurassic World or Park movies, excluding the Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptors with their quills on the back of their head, not really feathers, but we haven't seen any in Jurassic World Evolution, the first game. We haven't seen any feathered creatures in that. So, will Jurassic World Evolution 2 be the entering point, or the first entering point, may I say, of feathered creatures? I say first because we know for a fact that in Jurassic World Dominion, there will be feathered creatures, as we can see, spoilers by the way if you don't want to see anything from the preview, in this very low quality image of the Oviraptor. It is the first fully feathered dinosaur we have seen, from the Jurassic franchise, and it looks very cool. And so I do believe it would be quite strange if in the future, especially for the DLC that I assume will tie into Jurassic World Dominion, I'll make a video on that later on how I think that will work. On the DLC that will come with this, if the dinosaurs that were feathered in the movie weren't feathered in the game. I also think there are quite a few fan favourite dinosaurs that have been begged to have in Jurassic World Evolution 2 that are known for having feathers, such as the lovely Utaranus that's shown here, and the Therizinosaurus, which would look really odd without feathers and is frankly known for them in the first place. So it's been a big watching point as to see if there's anything to do with feathers. Frontier hasn't said anything about it yet. If you want to hear about that topic in a bit more detail, I believe Bestin's Lot has a video on that came out this week as well. So if you want to go watch that, feel free to go over and give them a watch. Now, anyway, moving on to number 4. How in-depth will the management be? So, this is a big question, because in the first game, the management was incredibly basic. You place an amenity, and it improves the amenity score. Get the scores high enough, and you can get a facility rating of 5 and move on to the next island. That was really it. Now, in some of Frontier's other game, like Planet Coaster, you have to manage staff wages, you have staff to place, and you have to keep shops, staff have to work in the shops, and if there aren't enough staff, shop won't work. The shop pricing has to be right, so the people don't think it's too cheap or too expensive. You have to be selling the right stuff to keep people happy, otherwise they'll just leave the park too early and won't spend enough money. You have to place bins so there's no rubbish, hire janitors to clean up the rubbish, place benches so people could sit down, repair the attractions. There was just loads of stuff in that game, and compared to Jurassic World Evolution, it was much more complicated. Now with Jurassic World Evolution 2, I believe it will be somewhere in between the two. It won't be as simplistic as Jurassic World Evolution, but due to its console limitations, I don't think it will be as in depth as Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo, because of the lower ability to control that sort of stuff on a console. As well as that, I don't know if it would fully suit the Jurassic World Evolution theme. I think if you want a full-on management game, that sort of thing, go play Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo. Hopefully for people like that, Jurassic World Evolution 2 will have more to offer as to Jurassic World Evolution 1, but that's something we want to see more of. Hopefully they reveal more about it. We already know about some new dinosaur management systems, such as the territory system and the new food system and all of that sort of stuff. We know there will be different types of guests. There'll be adventurers and naturalists and that sort of thing. And yeah, that already in itself is much better than the first game. Just those two things add huge amounts compared to the basically non-existent management that was in the first game. So yeah, moving on to the fifth, the last major question I have anyway, is will there be hybrids? This is a very complicated question, I believe, for Jurassic World Evolution 2, because after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, I think it will be hard to explain, because this comes after Fallen Kingdom, it'll be hard to explain the hybrids in the story, so it'll be hard to fit in an Indominus Rex or Indoraptor, given what we know about the story in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom of dinosaurs are now wild and all of the hybrids have been killed, basically. So, we don't know how they're going to show up, but I do think the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor will both show up in the game. One of them, that is because they're such a staple of the Jurassic franchise at this point, that it would be odd if they weren't in the game, really. Indominus Rex was the main bad guy of the first Jurassic World movie, and Indoraptor was the main bad guy of the second one. So it'd be really odd if they weren't. As of the other hybrids, such as Spinoraptor and Stegoceratops that we saw in the first game, I'm more skeptical about them being in the game, because as well as I don't know how they would fit in, I really don't know how they would fit in, because they're not really popular enough to add a whole story element for, I don't think, unless we're adding a DLC later, like they were in the first game. As well as that, a lot of people weren't huge fans of the hybrids. Not, myself included, I think, but... So, I don't think they would put the effort in to bring them back. Maybe they are, maybe there's like a secret test facility we go to from Biosyn or something like that, and they have some hybrids about and we rescue them, and we have them in our park or something like that. But we're not too sure about that. It's one of the major things that we want to comment on. It's the most mysterious of all of these, I think, because there are arguments for it to go either way, really, with the hybrids of being in the game. So, anyway. Yeah, see Indoraptor here. Yeah, it might be in the game, it might not. It's a very odd looking creature. It's it doesn't fit with the theme of it being a dinosaur, I think. The Indoraptors are so far out there, it's like an alien sort of thing. I don't know whether that fits in with the Jurassic World Evolution 2 aesthetic of it being a more natural game with more realistic dinosaurs in the wild, better foliage, all that, making it seem real. The Indoraptor doesn't seem real to me, and I don't know whether it fits with the aesthetic of the game. I do think it will be in the game because it's such a popular dinosaur, or dinosaur in quotation marks, at this point that it would be weird if it wasn't, but you know, it just feels a bit odd to me, but I don't know, I guess I just won't put it in my park, I suppose. So, anyway, thanks for watching, yeah, hope you enjoyed. I'll be releasing some videos on some of those questions later on in the week, or coming weeks anyway. Please like, you know, it's free, helps you get into the algorithm, and subscribe, you know. You can always unsubscribe at any point, you'll see new videos. If this one interested you, hopefully they will too. So anyway, thank you for watching, bye.